Okay, so for this next video lecture, so we will be discussing about the life cycle cost management. Okay, so strategic cost management also emphasizes the importance of external focus, and they also need to recognize and exploit both internal and external linkages as mentioned in our previous video lecture. So, life cycle cost management is normally related uh, approach that builds the framework that facilitates the management's ability to exploit those linkages. So we have here the different product life cycle viewpoints. So the first is uh, before we go to the uh, product life cycle viewpoints. Let us define first what product life cycle is. So this term simply means the time a product exists from its conception to its abandonment. Okay, from the time it was um, created, even from the research and development stage, up to the time that this product is no longer beneficial and is cut off, okay, from the product line of the entity. So product life cycle also refers to a product class or it can be whole class. So the example of this are the automobiles, but it can also refer to specific forms, okay, and the specific brands or models. Okay, so the product or the producer oriented definition of this term, it refers it to the life of classes, forms, or brands, whereas the customer-oriented definition refers product life cycle as the life of a specific unit of the product. Okay, so here, if you look into their viewpoints or definition, it's somehow the same. Okay, so for the producer-oriented definition, they look into a specific model or brand, whereas for the consumer, okay, they also refer it to a specific unit of the product. So they mean the same thing. Okay, what about revenue producing life? Okay, so this term is normally a time a product generates revenue for the company. So this is why it's called as the revenue producing life, because there are stages of product life cycle in which the product still exists, but it does not generate revenue anymore. Instead, it incurs losses. Okay, so a revenue product producing life is a is where a product begins its revenue producing life with a sale. Okay, from the first sale, okay, of this product. Um, this is the most interest on the part of the producer or seller, because we are talking about sales that generates revenue and profit. What about consumable life? Okay, so this term is the length of time that a product serves the needs of the customer. Okay, so once this product is not or that do not serve anymore, then that's the end of its consumable life on the part of the customers. So the consumable life, so this is considered also to be the most interest on the part of the customer. So however, it can also be of interest to the producer because it can be used as a competitive tool in which this product can be uh, referred to another customer, okay, for use or for purchase. Okay, so here the producer of goods or services has two viewpoints related to the product life cycle. So we have the marketing viewpoint and the production viewpoint. Okay, so when we say marketing viewpoint, so this basically describes the general sales pattern of the product, okay, as it passes through uh, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline life cycle stages. Okay, so again, we focus or they focus here on the sales pattern, whether it increase, get stable, or decrease. Okay, so what about for production viewpoint? So here, the production viewpoint of the product life cycle is the stage of the life cycle by changes in the type of activities that is being performed to it. So here, it can include activities such as research and development, the production, and the logistical or transportation or distribution activities. Okay, so this is what they mean, okay, under the production viewpoint for the product life cycle. So the product or the production viewpoint of the product life cycle is the stage of the life cycle by changes in the type of activities. So from, as mentioned, okay, from point emphasizes the sales, revenue, also behavior. Okay. Next, what about the consumable life cycle viewpoint? Okay. So here, when we say consumable life cycle, these are the stages that are related to activities in four stage: purchasing, operating, maintaining, and disposal. So this is on the part of the consumer's viewpoint. Okay. So again, consumable life cycle is the consumer or the product I mean is still um, of service to the consumers. Okay, so that's why this viewpoint is on the part of the consumers. So the stages again are purchasing, operating or using it, maintenance, and the ultimate disposal of the product. So the consumable life cycle viewpoint emphasizes the product performance for a given price. We are talking about consumer value this time. Okay, so here it involves the price. So of course we all know that the price is the cost of ownership. Okay, this includes purchase price or cost, operating cost. Okay, so we mentioned this in the previous video lecture. The maintenance cost and the disposal costs. So, what about the interactive viewpoint? Okay, so this is the third product lifecycle viewpoint. So, when we say interactive viewpoint, so this is maximizing the life cycle profits. Okay, meaning the producers must understand and capitalize on the relationships that exist among the three life cycle viewpoints that we've mentioned earlier. So the producer, a life cycle viewpoint, consumable, and the other one is okay, production. Okay, so these are the relationships. Again, when we say interactive viewpoint, these are relationships, okay, in which uh, that exist, I mean, among the three life cycle viewpoints. So once these relationships are understood, so the actions can be implemented, and then based on the actions or strategies, they can take advantage of the revenue enhancement, especially on the producer, as well as the cost reduction. Okay, what about life cycle cost management this time? So here, basically, it consists of the actions taken that cause a product to be designed, developed, produced, marketed, distributed, operated, maintained, serviced, and disposed of. so that the life cycle profits are maximized. So this basically, the life cycle cost management is the combination of those um, different product life cycle viewpoints. Okay, from the time the product is being conceived up to the time that it is disposed of. Okay, for the revenue generating approaches, so here it will depend on the marketing life cycle stages and as well as on the customer value effect. Okay, if the customer was satisfied, then tendency is they would buy again, repurchase, and or recommend it, okay, to other consumers or customers for purchase. So cost reduction, not cost control, is the emphasis of the life cycle cost management. So here, control means, I mean, if we differentiate these two terms, cost reduction means the cost should be uh, decreased to a lower cost, while cost control is to maintain the, or it could mean to maintain the current cost level, or the entity should not exceed, okay, their cost as per cost, budgeted cost, I mean. Okay, so that is cost control. So basically they mean different thing. But when talking about the life cycle of cost manage or life cycle cost management, the emphasis here is on cost reduction. Okay, so cost reduction strategies should expressly recognize that actions taken in the early stages, especially of the production life cycle, can be lowered, so that for the later production and consumption stages, the cost will be minimized as well. Because here, in the early stage of the production life cycle, if quality is established, so meaning to say there are lesser um, defect, which is one of the cost addition. Okay, so therefore, the product will also be of high quality. Okay, so therefore, for the later production and consumption, okay, the cost will be minimized. So, what about the role of target costing? Okay, so here, life cycle cost management also, as mentioned earlier, it emphasizes on cost reduction and not cost control. So here, target costing now becomes a useful tool for establishing cost reduction goals during the design stage, especially. So, what do we mean by a target cost? So, this is the difference between the sales price needed to capture a determined market share and the desired profit. So, meaning to say here, we have already established the desired sales price as well as the desired profit per unit. So with these two, we just get the difference, and the difference will be the cost of producing that product. Okay, so normally in a normal setting, what do we do is we compute the cost of production, add the desired profit, and then that will be our sales price. But for the target costing, this is uh, the reverse. Okay, so here we already identify the selling price and the profit or the desired profit. Then we get the difference to get the target cost. So meaning to say here, target cost will be the basis for the management in producing the product. So they should produce within this target cost range. Okay, so the sales price, of course, reflects the product specifications or the functions valued by the customers. This is what we mean by the product functionality. Okay, so if a target cost is less than what is currently achievable, then management must find cost reductions that will move the actual cost toward the target cost. Okay, so here, um, it's it's target costing will be the same now as our cost control. Okay, because in this case, the entity should produce exactly based on the target cost. Okay, so that's why if the target cost is less than what is currently achievable, we should move the actual cost toward the targeted cost that they have established. So finding the cost reduction is the principal challenge for this target costing approach. Okay, so normally there are three reduction methods that is being used. So we have the first, reverse engineering. So here, the competitors' products are closely analyzed. So they tear down, okay, and in an attempt to discover the design features that create cost reduction. So here, the entity might buy particular product of their competitor and try to dissect it, okay, in terms of its features, and try to create a process or features that will reduce the cost of producing this product. Okay, so that is what we mean by reverse engineering. Okay, another is value analysis. So this is the second method. So here, they attempt to assess the value placed on the various products functions by customers. So here, if the price customers are willing to pay for a particular function is less than its cost, then the function is candidate for elimination. So of course here, um, we should also, or the entity should also see to it that the value that being received is being received because the customers will equal to or exceed the cost that they sacrifice for purchasing the product. Okay, and the third is process improvement. Okay, so here, this is where the entity redesign the process to improve their efficiency. So they might eliminate some of the activities that do not add value to the product. So here we have an illustration of the target costing. Okay, assume that the company is considering the production of a new trencher. So the current product specification and the target market share called for the sales price of $250,000. So the required profit is $50,000 per unit. So based on the given data, we can now solve for our target costing. So you just uh, deduct or get the difference of the two. So here the target cost of producing the trench is $200,000. Okay, so that's how we determine the target costing. That's for the life cycle cost management.